I'll ask Coach Green to make an opening statement, then go to questions for the student athletes. Coach.
Congratulations to Illinois. They played an excellent game today.
Questions for Yogi and Will? You can raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Right out here.
You guys got it going from the three-point line in the first half, 6 for 8 at one point, and then missed the last 11. Did they come out on you more, or what changed the rest of the game?
Will you take that one, please?
You know, the ones in the first half kind of came off movement and penetration, and second half we didn't necessarily get the same penetration and movement that we did in the first half.
Back, Lauren.
I'll ask both of you. The zone seemed to give you some troubles. Was that a big factor in the game for you? I mean, it didn't seem that you were able to penetrate it quite as well. You came out the second half really penetrating, and they went to the zone. There must have been a reason for it.
Yogi, start with you, please.
Yeah, that kind of, stopped our movement a little bit. What we need to do, we need to move the ball more, still kind of play inside and out, but we didn't do that in the second half.
Will?
Yeah, I think we had some sets where we actually did have some pretty good movement within the zone, but it wasn't on a consistent basis.
Additional questions for the student athletes? Right down here in front.
For either of you, just what about Illinois toward the end of that game? Why were you not able to get over the hump there?
Yogi, we'll ask you, please.
When they run the high ball screen, we weren't defending that, as well as we were, especially in the first half. And then they got a couple key offensive rebounds down the stretch in the second half.
Back to the back.
Yogi, specifically, what's it like to play against a guy that you've played against now for 2 years at that guard position, Abrams? He seems like he never quits.
Yeah, I've been playing against him for a while now. He's especially a good guard, big body. He just attacks the rim really well.
We have one or two more for student athletes. Anybody? All right, fellas, thank you. You may return to the locker room. Question for Coach Green? Start back with Bob.
Tom, what is your message to your team at this point?
Bottom line is we can play better. We have to. You have to match the toughness and the competitive spirit every time that you play, and we've just got to quit making defensive mistakes in coverages and giving them live ball turnovers. And really what I try to do is find a different way to say that message, because I've given it a few times, and that's the biggest thing.
Let's go right down here in front.
Coach, you guys are down 53-52 with a little over a minute left, and then Abrams hit that big three to go up 4. What kind of defense? It looked like you guys were trying to transition into a 2-3.
We were going to a 2. It was a defensive mistake. It was a defensive mistake. It's something that we practice. It was just a mistake. We didn't get into that rotation as quick as we needed to. But it's not. We've done it all year. I mean, we've played that kind of defense all year. And in that situation, going to man, they were really hurting us with their high ball screen. So that was one reason that we had to go to more of the zone and type of things there. And we just didn't get over there quick enough based on the person that was up that had to jump into the zone.
On the aisle.
Coach, what was your thoughts on your team's energy, especially down the stretch? It seems like guys maybe weren't as energetic as maybe they might normally be in such a close game.
Yeah, I have to watch the film. I didn't think our execution was where it needed to be today. And at some point, you have to grow over when things aren't going right for you and lack of offense, and you have to be able to overcome it. And you can't make mistakes on the other end.
Take a couple more right here in front.
Tom, how would you define this season?
I wouldn't, because I hope it's going to continue to keep going. So I'm really 15, 20 minutes after the game has ended, I really don't have a definition of it. So I hope we get to continue to play, because it'd be an honor to keep playing, and I'd like to see us keep continuing to get better.
Back on the aisle.
Tom, you mentioned, you said that at some point you have to grow over. What are the biggest growth areas still out there for these guys, you think?
Value of the basketball. It's a big one. Just 40-minute talk on the court. And sometimes the energy can look lacking when the communication is not where it needs to be. Just continuing to make simple basketball plays. Probably the biggest word that we use is just that intent. What the intent of intent covers a lot of things. It covers your competitiveness, it covers your awareness, it covers your grit, it covers your will. You know, the intent of getting stops. We started the second half, I think we had 7 or 8 stops in a row. So that's very good intent. I mean, without question. But it's the consistency of that. And going back to Dana's question, it was your question, right? I think the biggest thing to me that I don't want to define it as, but it's certainly been that way this season, is we've just never been as consistent as we need to be. But like I said, I hope that we're going to continue to play and we can keep building it, because there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of work ethic in there. We've got to keep understanding what our individual responsibilities are for winning, and that means making the game easier for your teammates. And that is the hardest thing in my mind to get when you have a lot of guys that maybe winning came easy, or they were surrounded with other good players, or there wasn't a premium put on it. But when there is a premium put on winning, you have to make the simple play. You have to make it about your teammate. You cannot lose intent, even if it's not going right for you. And that's the hardest process to go through with the team. If you don't have enough talent, well, then that's another hard process. But we have the talent. They just have to grow up, and they have to continue to learn those lessons. And days like today, they're hard. You beat Iowa, you beat Ohio State, you win those games. Those lessons come alive pretty good. But you lose like today, and even at home to Nebraska last week, in the Michigan game, we had all of that. But again, so there were some costly defensive mistakes down the stretch, and a couple of turnovers, and that's been the part of our season that's really been the crux. That as hard as we try to work to get out of it, it still carries over into the games, and we just want to continue to build on that. Every bit of experience this team can get, especially being in this league and what we've learned from this league, to continue to go out and play, is very important.
Is there one final question?
Coach, Vonleh hasn't had double-digit rebounds in over a month, and he hasn't scored in double figures since the Wisconsin game. Do you think that's kind of a result of the foot injury, or do you think that's kind of hitting the freshman wall?
No, I don't know. The injury's definitely been there. And he was very limited in practice this week. And I think you could see that in his energy at times in the game. We've really had to hold him back in the practices, and it's part of it, you know. So, there's no question he could be more aggressive. I mean, there's no question about that. But he gets a lot of focus too, as you can see. I mean, as good as Yogi is and as good as Will is, the post double and things like that. But a freshman that misses time, it's just like missing considerable amounts. And again, you can say they're playing the games, but it's that rhythm of practice, and that's why the one zone play we ran at the end when Noah hit Will and Will hit Troy, that goes to show how good they can execute. We put that in 2 days ago, you know, and they ran that to perfection. I mean, so the opportunity to learn and get those things done is good, but you got to keep doing it time and time and time again. And young freshmen go through different walls. I don't know if you ever see the proverbial wall where they just run up to it and smack it, and they can hide it pretty well, and you can hide it with your practices and not going as long. But there's no question that missing the games that he missed and those type of things have bothered him. But he's going to be a very good player, and he's just got to continue to learn, and we got to continue to try to help him get better.
Coach, thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you, everyone.
Reminder, the locker room's open for about another 8 or 9 minutes.